Will
All
we be
right.
able to like rewatch this later, Patty?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Because
I
I'm
will.
worried about taking enough notes. Because I've been asked back for next year already. And I taught
Oh,
two classes on pendulum, and I kind of went into a little bit of manifestation and vision boards a little bit and energy in general. So it's like, I'm going
awesome.
to master this.
Excellent.
Yeah, all good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining me. I am so super excited to welcome Heather tonight. Heather is one of the people I trust to read my cards. She is amazing. And I'm not even going to be formal about this. I'm just going to let her talk and dive into this. So thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to talk with everybody tonight and share these ideas. And so I use more oracle cards than tarot, but I have such a deep respect for tarot and for Patty. And I think one thing that we could all agree on about Patty is that the energy of humor is really effective, that she's able to accomplish a lot with the energy of humor. And I know you must get serious sometimes, but there's no one way to be and do and accomplish. But a lot of times we get stuck in our own heads about how things need to go, the way we need to be, what it's supposed to look like, all that stuff. And so what I'm going to talk to you tonight about is energy experiments and experimenting with what if my energy could be different? What if I could think or feel something different? And then observing how that can change your experience and your life. And so I have a little slideshow. I'm gonna kind of we'll see how well I do following my slides, because I really like to see people. So if I feel like I'm losing you, I might ditch the slideshow. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up, and let's see. You all will see my 9,000 tabs that I have open. Here we go. Okay. So this is me, Heather McGuire, the Unconventional Intuitive. I am an energy reader, a card reader. I help people understand better who they are, what their skills and gifts are, so that they can lean more into that instead of trying to be all the things that they're not. Because life is so much easier when you can go with the flow. And the truth is that for a lot of my life, I have had issues with depression, low self-esteem, loneliness, all the things, anxiety. And my work has taught me that spirit sees me differently than the way I see myself. And I see it every single day with my clients. The things they need to fix about themselves, the things they think they need to be in order to be okay, to be good enough, spirit disagrees. So that was kind of the seed of my energy experiments. What if these ideas and things and beliefs that I think I need to fix about myself don't really need to be fixed? Maybe there's something else, that spirit has this way of seeing me as perfect and whole, and has this way of giving me these signs and opportunities and putting people in my path. Maybe there's a way that I can lean more into that and less into having everything figured out and knowing how it all works. That's kind of the basis of my energy experiments. Okay, so this idea, this concept comes from principles of spirituality, psychology, self-discovery. I just recently feng shuied my office, but normally there's like a million self-discovery, self-help books back here on how to manage your time and all kinds of things, but made some space for something else. And these energy experiments give you a way to reliably create new evidence that something else is possible. Maybe you get a little sign from the universe. Maybe you feel different. Maybe somebody responds differently to you. Something unexpected happens and it helps you unstick from those really stuck hard places and even the places that could just be even better. You know, I'm doing okay, but I'd love for this to be, instead of a 4, I'd love for this to be an 8 or a 10. Let's experiment. Let's make it happen. Okay. So how do they help? They give you this evidence. They help you really trust. We all know, as people who work with cards, we see it every time we pick up the cards. The universe is listening. There's magic happening, right? Um, and and even our readings. Have you noticed that when you are sad, angry, frustrated, happy, your readings have a different tone? The cards work with you differently, right? Um, the things around you are responding to your energy. When can you experiment? Okay, I'm going to throw everything at you. So if I'm going too fast, unmute yourself and say, stop. Okay, so when can you experiment? You can experiment anytime, okay? An experiment is so simple. You do these experiments all of the time. When you say, you know what, I'm just going to let this go. And you feel that shift inside of you. That's an experiment. You're changing your energy. And something different happens because you're not hanging on to being right or fixing the thing or figuring it out. You do an energy experiment when you walk into the grocery store and you're in a great mood and you smile at people and suddenly there's a short line at the checkout, or you bump into someone who knows someone who something happens, right? And then you go home and you get green lights. These are all things that are a result of shifting your energy, the energy that you're in, the mood, the thoughts, all of that. Is impacted by your energy. So anytime you can't fix something, you're stuck, you need a boost, you're feeling just dragged down by life or your colleague or your kid, when you need a sign from the universe, when you need a new opportunity and you can't figure out how to make it happen, and when you're just curious, I wonder what could happen. So here we go. Welcome to the energy laboratory. Here's my energy laboratory. I love this picture. This multi-dimensional. All of these things are happening at once. Right? Okay. So last time I dropped in, there was the crystal talk, and I loved how much science she gave us. It was so fascinating. She was so specific. My science is a little more fuzzy, and part of that is very intentional because the more fuzzy, the more space, the less we know for sure why things work and how they work, the more space there is in there for magic to happen. Okay? So here's the science we're using. Everything is energy. That includes you, your physical body, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and everything else in the world. We're all energy, which means that we're all connected. We're all intertwined. We're all unified. What's happening there is not separate from me. Okay. I had a client the other day and she was talking about what's going on in Israel. And she was supposed to be making this big presentation at work, but the night before she couldn't sleep. She couldn't concentrate. She had this migraine headache. And then she tried to do the presentation and she felt like she did a terrible job. And come to find out, this had been going on. The original, stuff that happened in Israel with the Hamas and all the things. And she said, I think people would think I was crazy, but what was happening was inside of my mind. I had these terrible dreams and I couldn't sleep. And yeah. How many people decided they just weren't going to work on 9/11 or weren't getting on the plane? Right? We're connected to things that are bigger than what's right in front of us. Okay? And you all know that. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys have lived this stuff, right? So, so in this slide, it says maybe not knowing how or what or why gives the universe that extra space it needs to bring some kind of change and miracle into our life and to change the outcome. Okay? Because when we know what's going to happen, then we know what's going to happen. Okay, now this, I just like this. This is a little piece of a article, and it talks about quantum physics, because I think all of us probably are a little bit of quantum physics fanatics, and we love all the little bits of science that tell us that reality maybe isn't what it appears. And so basically this quote is talking, this little article was talking about how when we know things, when we measure them, when we name them, we are creating them as real. So what does that mean? I can't actually see the whole thing because I've got pictures, so otherwise I would really read it to you, but let's see. Evidence seems to imply that reality, our experience of the world, can only take place if there's some sort of measurement or observation. You know that old thing about if a tree falls in the woods? Okay, that we, through our observation, through our measurement, through our decision about what this means and what it is, we are creating our reality individually and collectively. So this means that when we use that fuzzy space of, I don't know what's going to happen, let's see how this goes. Let's change this up and watch and see if anything feels different. We're using this principle of quantum physics, this facet of how our universe works, to work for us. Instead of saying, I need to figure this out, I need to figure out how this is going to work and why it's going to happen, we say, maybe something else is possible. And I can tell you that I use this all the time, and my clients use this all the time. And a really great example of this is from when my son was small. And every day after school pickup was awful, 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 awful. Every day. Every day I would leave and I would think about how much I love that little guy. And I would start to get stressed out because I knew the minute the doors opened, the poop was going to hit the fan. He was going to be pissed off. Something was going to go wrong. I just knew it, right? And it got to the point where like every day somebody was crying as we drove home, and it was awful. And so in the afternoon, one afternoon before I went to school, I was reading about all this stuff and practicing, and I said, how would I like this to feel? And I just got quiet for 5 minutes, and I really just kept asking myself, how would I like for this to feel? And what flooded my body was love. I wanted my son to feel loved. I wanted there to be a way for me to trust that that was happening, whatever it looked like, that he knew he was loved, that I was showing up for him, that meant something. All of that, I didn't even have all these words for it. It was a feeling in my body. And when I went to pick him up from school that day, that little guy came out, marched his little self right up to me and said, hey, Mom, you ready to go? No drama, no fighting, no crying, nothing. Okay? I didn't do anything to make that happen, but it maybe happened because I had changed something in myself, right? And so these things, you are doing these things already all the time, and you can use this more intentionally, all right? Because this is a superpower that we have. So what blocks change? What keeps us locked in the patterns? What keeps us from manifesting what we want? What keeps our relationships from changing? What keeps our beliefs from changing? it's all of that. It's a lot of things. And one possibility is that our beliefs, what we know to be true, the way we know that things work, the way that we predict the outcome, he's not going to go for that. She's never going to believe that. That's never going to happen. I'm not that kind of person. I grew up this way, which means I'll never be that way. All of those things keep us locked in. And yet, most of us are trying so hard to pick those locks by changing our beliefs, right? We're trying so hard. And that is, in my experience, the hardest way. There's an easier way to change our belief and change our experience, and that's through changing our energy, through meditation, through dance, movement, relaxation, and giving yourself space, detachment. All of these things can ultimately change your beliefs and change your experience by just being so much more simple. How can I feel different right in this moment? Is this making sense?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we are walking our way towards an energy experiment. And so hang in there, because we're going to experiment with our energy around money. I mean, anytime's a good time to change that up for most of us. And the holidays, when money seems to just fly out of our wallet, out of our bank account, we're gonna go there. Okay, so so here's the way most of us know things work. That our beliefs create our thoughts, and that creates our emotions, which is our energy, how we're vibrating. We're vibrating. I'm in a great mood. I'm really high vibes. I'm really pissed off. I'm low vibes, right? We think that this is a one-way street. And that's kind of the way we're taught, that our beliefs are the generator of everything. And then it comes from that top down. And so that's why we feel like, well, I got to get up here and fix up at the top in order to change how I'm feeling my day-to-day experience. But the truth is much more like this, that it's all going multi-directional, multi-dimensional. And that's why if we do inner child work, it can change our experience now, because we can go through time and space, right? If we change our energy, how many of you have ever had to do like a presentation or something, and you just did your power pose, got real confidence brewing up inside your body, and marched your little self right in there and like knocked it out of the park, right? Your beliefs about what was possible and your thoughts about what was possible, you had to push them aside in that instant and say, what can I work with here? My energy. How can I change that? Right? So that's what we're about here. And what happens is you start to get evidence that something else is possible. Just like when you went and you did that presentation, or you had that big conversation, or whatever it was, something shifted in your belief about who you were. Wait a minute. I'm also a person who can do this. This also happened. You are getting evidence that something else is possible. And as you gather that evidence, the beliefs start to change. They start to soften, and you start to change the way you think about things, and you think about what's possible for yourself. And the universe jumps right in to support you. Okay. So a little more quantum physics, this entanglement, we're taught that, or we observe, the way we observe the world is that there is locality. So meaning the things, I'm only changing the things that are close to me. Though that's what has an impact on me. And that the cause precedes the effect. That in order for me to change the outcome, the cause has to happen first. And what we find in quantum physics is the cause can come after. Someone just told me about a study that said the grades improved when kids studied after the exam. How is that possible? Because the tests hadn't been graded yet. That hadn't been determined. It wasn't a fixed quantity, a known thing. It hadn't been determined. And so statistically, they can analyze how do the kids do, this group versus that group, all the things. And they found that studying after changed the grade. There was a big study done that looked at health outcomes and prayer. And they had people praying for these people who were hospitalized with a fever and an infection and these different things. And they measured these 4 variables: the length of fever, length of stay, whether they lived or died, and one other thing, which I'm not going to remember till after we hang up. And the people prayed. And there were 2 groups, a control group that wasn't prayed for and a group that was prayed for. The group that was prayed for had better outcomes. They got out of the hospital faster. They had less fever. They survived more. And what they didn't know when they were praying was that these people were hospitalized 10 years before. So any GD thing is possible. The less we know, the less we understand, the more space there is for some kind of magic to swoop in and zhuzh things up. All right. So when we change our energy, we're not controlling. It's not to make our husband be less annoying or our boss to listen to us. It's to see what happens. Something will happen. Our energy is different. The energy of the universe around us is going to change. Okay. We talked about this. How do you change your energy? I'm going to lead you through an energy experiment, which is like basically a meditation. But one of the ways I started learning about energy experiments is these magic wand questions. When I was in that endless loop of doom of how do I change my beliefs? How do I feel better about myself? How do I, love my life? All of these things. I started to ask, what if there's nothing to fix? That made me feel different. What if this could be easy? Oh, that's different. Like even the question, what if there's more to the story? What if there's more to the story? What if what I see is just one little slice of what's happening and there's so much more? That one still gets me big time. It totally changes me from being, nose into the corner and all I can see is where I am and what needs to happen. And it backs me right out. Oh, there's a whole world of possibilities here, right? And I began to use my ability, which we all have, to generate feelings. Just like that example with my son before pickup at school. I used to wake up every morning so anxious. It was like I was coming up out of water. And I would feel behind. I would feel racing. It was awful. And I tried to figure it out. I tried everything I could think of. And then I said, well, what if I just felt something different? And I refused to get out of bed until I felt something different. And I would just ask myself, what do I want to feel today? And free, peace, happy, content, full, whatever came to mind. I would generate that feeling in my body. And when I got it alive in my body, I would get out of bed. And what happened was my mind and my beliefs about myself started to change as a result, but also my morning started to change. Instead of starting my day just completely fried and scrambled, I started it from this coherent place. And that's part of the magic of these energy experiments, is that what we're doing, one of my big takeaways from the crystal talk was DOR, dominant something resonance operating. And crystals are really stable. They resonate at the same frequency, but people are not. We're bouncing all over the map. But when we drop into a coherent state, which we do when we drop into our heart, when we generate that one feeling, we start vibrating really coherently. And the signal that comes out of us is so strong and clear that there's no other option but that it changes the energy around us. So we don't have to stay there every moment of every day, but when we drop into that clarity, there's power there. Okay? Where are we? Because maybe changing your energy can change everything. And isn't that a delightful possibility? When you're feeling like, what else can I do? How do I do this? You can change your energy, right? Okay, I think that's about the end of my slides. Yes, there we are, the end. So I'm going to stop share and we're going to do an energy experiment. Okay. All right. Now, before we do this, any questions? Did I lose anybody? How are we doing? We're good? Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. Awesome. So I want you to kind of just allow yourself to get a little bit fuzzy, take some nice deep breaths. And in a moment, I'm going to walk you into a little bit of a meditation. But for right now, I want you to stay in your head just a little bit. And I want you to think about money. And when you think about money, you probably have kind of a dominant feeling. Maybe you feel really comfortable and good about money, or maybe you feel kind of nervous and scared. Am I going to run out? Is there going to be enough? And maybe there are some thoughts that you have a lot. Maybe, money is the root of all evil. Maybe people with a lot of money are creepy and selfish, and you don't want to be like that, but you want money because money's also fun and freedom. And how do you dance the dance, right? So feel all of that in your body. Feel the conflicting things and feel your current relationship with money. Honestly, where are you with money? Are you feeling pretty good, or are you like, oh crap, I gotta stop going to Starbucks? All right. So you got a sense of where you are with money. Nobody's going to ask you. You don't have to share anything. You can be as honest with yourself as you want to be right here, right now. Okay. And so now I'm going to walk you into a little bit of a meditation. And I want you to just know that you're not fixing anything. You're not creating an outcome. You're going to drop into a coherent state, shift your energy, and then you're going to see what happens. And as you observe something different, you are creating a new reality. Okay. So go ahead and take some nice deep breaths. And I want you're all on mute, so go ahead, inhale through your nose, really deep, reach way down into that belly. And on the exhale, open your mouth and exhale with a sigh. I want you to do a couple more of those. And as you do, you will notice that your body begins to feel different. There's a lot happening inside of you with that side, with your parasympathetic nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system, the neurochemicals in your body. But I want you to just focus on that feeling. And as you feel into that shifting space that the sighs create, imagine that you are leaning into a gap in time and space. And somehow this sigh has brought you into a space which is different than your usual reality. In this magical space, it's almost as if you have stopped time. You can tinker here. You can experiment here. And then when you step back into your body, you can watch for what's different. So allow your mind to really soften here. Allow your eyebrows to soften, your shoulders to drop, your jaw to let go. Feel the weight of your body in your chair, softening. And I want you to think now, just ever so gently, about money, as if you were looking at it, looking at your thoughts about it, your relationship to it, your experiences. Oh, there's me and money. And I want you to notice that it's separate from you. You are looking at it. And if you could feel just a little bit different about money, if you could feel just a little bit more confident, a little bit more secure, a little bit more safe, whatever comes to mind for you, if you could feel something that's a little bit different in your relationship with money, I want you to think of what that might be, and I want you to begin to feel it in your body. You don't have to think about money when you do this, just the feeling. If I could feel this, and everyone is different. Maybe you grow that feeling with images in your mind. Maybe there are words that help that feeling grow, colors. Grow that feeling in your body. And now imagine that you could take this you that's feeling all these things and walk into that you that has that relationship with money. Don't figure anything out. Just see, sense, feel whatever shows up. Here you are in this relationship with money with this new feeling. Huh, interesting. You can have a little talk with money if you want while you're here. I'm running an experiment. I'm seeing what happens when I feel different around you. Feel free to respond. Come back into that squishy place here, in between here and there, now and then. Gratitude and love always helps. So let's drop into our heart space, doing nothing but breathing. Put your mind in the space between your breastbone and your spine. Feel and observe the expansion here. This is coherence. This is sending this signal out into the world, into the universe. I am different. And whenever you are ready, you can place one hand right on the center of your chest. Take two great big deep breaths. I like to give myself a little encouragement and say, good job. I love you. And then you can come back to here and now. And all you have to do is watch and notice if anything shows up that's a little bit different. Maybe you feel a little bit different, maybe a little somebody says something, whatever it is. When you see it, you know. Beautiful.
Can I say what I saw?
Please.
So I saw that I'm growing a tree with like with money, pentacles.
Ooh.
Like I'm like growing the tree and it's become like but the end it become like really big one, you know, like really powerful. Like
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Maybe you can imagine that you can just go out and pluck the money right off of there. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Did anybody else have any questions or anything they wanted to share? Okay.
For me, it was money was like an entity. It was like a being, and I was like, all right, you don't have control over me anymore. We're gonna be friends. Yeah.
I like it.
So yes, so I'm very curious to see how this is gonna play out.
I like that. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's
That was
awesome.
great. Thank you, Heather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me, Patty. It's just a thrill to be here.
Absolutely. This was wonderful. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Heather or anything you want to know? Feel free to.
I guess I was curious about your business. I love the name of your business. I wrote it down. Where did I put it?
Unconventional intuitive.
Yeah, I love that. So
Oh.
do you start with exercises like this and explaining energy and then go forth like kind of like when we do tarot readings and you kind of come up with the topics that you need to expand on and go from there?
Yeah, to a large extent. I mean, you know, most people come to a reading because they feel like they have a problem or a question, right? And they feel like they need to know how it's going to turn out or what they need to do or what the right thing is. And all of that is a very constricted energy, as if there is one answer, one path, one way, right? And when you can relax and expand, more possibilities can happen. And oh, maybe I don't have to do all of the work. Maybe somebody can help me. Maybe something can just magically line up. We've all seen that happen. And we've all been in that place where we're like, oh, what,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of my work, is helping people sort of pull back, understand who they are, how they can work with themselves, and how they can, you know, move in this situation in a different way.
When I was pulling cards this weekend, because this was new for me to do it like publicly, like one after another after another. And there was a few of them when I would pull the challenge card, they would get that, what is it, the 4 cups or the 5 of cups kind of thing. And, you know, I kept trying to explain to them that, you know, you may be unsatisfied or uncontent with what's in front of you, but there's that, you know, spirit coming in. And I would pull another card for resolution. It was almost like the card was repeating the problem. So then I was like, okay, what other angle do I share with them? And I was trying to get to that point, like, how do we help them see what is around them without knowing what to look for, if that makes sense? Like you said, opening their mind out. So it's not going to be one specific thing or one person. It could be something off of a billboard or something out. So it sounds like it follows in that.
Yeah. That's a lot of my work is, and I'm sure all of you, getting people to relax enough that they can trust that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people do you talk to and they're like, yeah, but I don't think that was a sign. I don't know. I mean, there was a billboard and then a truck in front of me with a license plate, and then I heard the song on the radio, but I mean, it's just coincidence, right?
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. Well, it was funny because I had one girl that her face, you could just see by her body language that she was kind of in, and she's kind of frowning and she's like, you know, and she wouldn't share anything about one way or the other. And I didn't want her to leave unsettled. And I was really getting kind of stuck and a little nervous. And I thought, I'm going to switch decks. All of a sudden I remembered you can do that. So I set that deck aside, grabbed the Light Seers one. And it was like the card that came up was the three of Pentacles. And it's like, oh, okay, you're going to need some help to see this. And then I think I pulled one more clarifier, and it was the Lover's card. And she was getting a reading with her and her boyfriend. So it's like, it seems to me there's going to be either people involved in this, but somebody else is also going to help you see it. And it was like funny when those cards flipped, you felt that little zing. And I thought, okay, whether she knows it or not, I think I've just spoke all the truth I can speak and hope that it vibrates, you know. And she seemed a little better when she went out, but I felt like I was really, really drumming it.
Oh, good job. Congratulations. Those clients are the hardest ones. The
And
ones that
honestly,
are
she
crossed
probably
and-
went back and was like, that was the best reading ever. It's those people that do not show.
Oh my goodness, her
Mhm.
aura was in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tell them, you know what, just put your doubt in the bucket here, the doubt bucket, and you pick it up on your way out. Run everything through that filter, but this goes a lot easier when you just leave that aside.
I love that.
Well, and Patty, I kept thinking how you had made that post about somebody giving a negative reading or, you know, being really blunt or whatever.
Mhm.
And you want them to leave with some hope or a tool or a positive thing. So I really worked on that because my daughter had said, oh, Mom, because I was greeting everybody and saying how much I love their outfit or was being really positive. And on the way home one night, she's like, Mom, do you give just sunshine and roses in your reading? And I said, well, no, the girls have we've all talked about this sandwich in the middle, like Melanie would do, a challenge. And then here's your tool to get through the challenge. And then we kind of pull a resolving card for that, you know, the end zone, something happy. So I thought I was doing it right. But then I started going, okay, am I doing it? Am I? And sure enough, the next day was the gal with the, like, I just couldn't get her a good card in the middle, in that sandwich spot,
Yep.
you know, but then finally switching the deck seemed to bring it around. So
That was great. Yeah.
what a learning curve, girls. But yeah, this whole to get them to open their mind to what's out there. So
Mhm.
I think I'm just trying to clarify because Patty, as you know, I stumble with the word tarot and how some people perceive it. And I did see a few people that were afraid this weekend that after their reading, they're like, oh, that wasn't scary, you know. So when you say unconditional intuitive, so Heather, do you basically, are you like a tarot oracle reader and you're giving it that kind of a reading, or are you more of a life coach using that as a tool to, does that make sense, like a
Mhm.
tool to get them, because to me that's what it feels like, is a combination that we do coaching, and the tarot was just an icebreaker.
Yeah. 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 Very much. I mean, as you know, it depends on your sitter and
Okay.
what they're looking for and kind of where they are mentally. If someone
Okay.
is in a space where they can pull back with you and soften, then they can move further faster. If someone
Right.
is so tense and so bound up, then
Yeah.
you know they can make like a micro movement, and
Yeah.
that's how you can support them in that session, you know.
Yeah.
And we've all been in both places, you know. You are where you are, so
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I keep searching for like maybe a different word than tarot, but I like the intuitive and the unconventional. I love the wording that you chose for that, you know,
thank
to
you.
kind of like say soften them so that they can be open and not come in and with some preconceived idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So Heather, I love the magic wand questions.
Mm,
That's really powerful.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
and it really is magic. Yeah,
Could you feel it in your body with the
I could.
questions?
Yes, I
Yeah.
could. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're welcome. I love
I
that.
agree. Like, what if this was different? You
Right.
know, like,
Oh,
it's
just
so
asking that.
yeah, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
shift everything.
It absolutely can shift it. Yep.
Yeah. It's wild. It is
Mhm.
so wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, doesn't take a lot, you know. You can be sort of in a really incoherent space and just say, okay, what if there's more to the story here? What if this could be easy? And your energy shifts. A lot of times you get an insight. Oh, okay, I could just do this, and then I could put it to rest, or whatever it is. It's so amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that.
Anybody else? Before we wrap up?
Heather, thank you very, very much.
Yeah,
You're so
thank you,
welcome.
Heather.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
this was great. And thank you all for coming. This was wonderful time to connect. And it's a busy time of year, so I appreciate everybody being here. And like I said, bring on your ideas, suggestions, whatever. I hope to do more of this kind of stuff, and
Awesome.
we'll go from there. All
Wonderful.
right. Okay. Thanks,
Thank you so much.
everybody. So good seeing you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Patty. I'll see you in a couple days or
Yes,
sometime soon.
I know. Yep. See you. Thank you again, Heather.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.